right, welcome back. You're still watching NTV Sport Nice. Thank you so very much for staying with us. Just before we get into our guest, to remind you one more time, please feel free to head over to our social media platforms. We are at NTV Uganda across all the platforms, and share your thoughts on our poll question that is about the positives we can take from that contested FUFA budget framework paper. And feel free to also mention them. Then we'll be taking that feedback as the show does go by. There you have it. That's the poll question on your screen right now. The hashtag to use all through is NTV Sport Nights. Our guest is here, Harold Atkwatse. He's the director at Sotio Bright Stars and a lawyer. Good to have you once again.
Thank you, Justine. It's always a pleasure. Good evening to our viewers.
Okay, the last time we had you here, we were discussing another document or a lack of a document regarding the new Uganda Premier League format. Now here you are to discuss another document. There's something about you and documents. Is it you or the panel?
No, it's the lawyer in him, I guess.
In him?
Yeah.
Okay.
No lawyers and documents.
And documents, yeah. They're friends with documents. So, Harold, let's go straight into it. You know, all originating from that back and forth that we did see between the State Minister for Sport, Honorable Peter Ogwang, and the FUFA president just before Parliament's committee, and you know everything that unfolded later on. But before you get into the document, first of all, watching that back and forth before a whole committee that you're supposed to present to what you need, what did you make of that?
For starters, I'll say that the president, the Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo, knew what he was doing in presenting that document in the manner he presented it.
Yeah.
He wanted to get word out there that football needs this money. Now, as to whether he would be successful or not, I'm also sure that he knew that that would come up at some time. Someone would stop him and say, look, we haven't seen this and we're supposed to have seen it, because only NCS has a vote. Or is a vote, I should say, is a vote. When I say is a vote is an entity, a government entity that is mandated by law to prepare such financial documents and present them to Parliament. Now, in that room, only NCS could do that. And I am very sure that the president maybe knew that or hoped he would get his way or whatever. But bottom line is it's the positives and negatives. The positive is that the whole country is discussing football. The other positive is that people now know that we need that money. When I say we, I mean football needs that money. The negative is I think it now makes it harder for it to go through, because I remember the committee chairperson asking.
Harold, when you say football needs that money, and you look at the breakdown of the money that football is asking for, does football really need all that money?
I have my reservations on some of those things, on some of the items, but also I know that there might be better ways that we can go about this.
Yeah, and we're going to get to the breakdown in just a minute. So,
but you see the committee chairperson, and first Honorable Peter Ogwang comes up and says, excuse me, we haven't seen this document before. This is a minister. Now, ministries and bodies like NCS are what we call entities that are a vote. Now, FUFA goes down under those entities. So if someone is coming up and say in your department and they say, look, I'm presenting a document and you haven't seen it, it's catastrophic. It's bound to cause some friction, and we all saw how it played out.
Just on that point, if it's the Woodball Federation president who had presented that, would he go scot-free?
I think even
would the Woodball president have found himself in that room in the first place?
Okay. Fair enough. Now that President Magogo presented that against all normal procedures, is there anything, any repercussions from NCS, from the regulators, or it's just done, we move on?
What I think is It's I was going to use the word precursor, but not it will not work here because we've seen the friction between the local organizing committee, NCS, the local organizing committee for AFCON, NCS, and FUFA. The first public instance, I think, was the first opening game of the AFCON. When you get to the stadium and there are no beverages, there are no refreshments, and there are things that FUFA can do so easily. But they did not do that day. For me, that showed me that the coordination was lacking, the planning, they were not talking to each other.
I don't think it was their call to make, because it was the same case in Tanzania and the same case in Kenya. So it was CAF's call.
It was CAF's call, not the local organizing committee. Okay, I get you. Thank you.
So back to Parliament, and while you were still speaking about FUFA and how the engineer Moses Magogo knew what he was doing, I will take you back to a question that Andrew and Clive tried to raise. What are the chances that the Woodball Federation president will be in that room if he felt like he had a case to make?
The chances are very slim. The chances are very slim, but legally, under the Public Finance Management Act, even you, Andrew, can go and present things and say, look, I need money to go and do ABCD. As to whether it now enters because that document cannot in any way, for lack of a better word, enter money into the budget. Like, you can't present that document there and then it ends up in the budget. No, it has to come back to NCS, and NCS is the only body that can present that. The reason is government is not going to give you money if you do not meet the accountability parameters, the national objectives, and things of the like.
So anyone, including Gistin, if they had got their way to present it, they would have been sent back.
Quickly.
NCS.
Quickly.
Okay.
Quickly.
So it's not a crime?
No, it's not a crime. The most, I think, public example I can give is the gentleman from Day Pharma, Magola. It's Dr. Magola something. The guys who make medicine, they get, I think, billions of money. And we're always complaining and saying, why are you giving this single individual money? But that money is not, he does not ask for it as a person. It probably comes through a line ministry or a line department, maybe like an NDA or a Ministry of Health or something, or even Ministry of Finance itself. It's very rare for, and the President mentioned that FUFA is a private entity. It's very rare for a private entity to come and say, I want to be put on the budget. Actually, it's impossible legally. Though, when you look at the environment in Uganda, people walk to State House and come back with money, people walk here and come back with money, so maybe that was the spirit of...
Yeah, it was a case of we can also dare.
Yes, that's the one.
A bit of update as we continue. I understand with all that happened and the meetings later at NCS and stuff like that, the issue is now on the table of the head of state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I think last week, NCS, FUFA and other stakeholders were supposed to meet in State House with the President and the First Lady. That meeting didn't happen. It was later pushed to today, but I also understand that today they didn't meet the President. I think he has commitments. So there are chances that probably he will meet them in the coming days or stuff like that. But at least now the issue is at that level.
And for me, that was the intended
it has AFCON involved
from the start
in it.
Okay, and Harold, before I hand you over to the boys, to the gentlemen. So now, we see what happens before Parliament, and in one or the other, the two parties are asked to go and harmonize, right? Yes. In a place where we know a clash of egos is going to be top, how then do you fall back and have a discussion? Because, and I understand, I think that meeting did happen at the National Council's Force between the two parties. But it's one thing for a meeting to happen, but it's another thing for those egos and the clashes to remain silent but still be there. How then do you harmonize? Because we need to move on and start speaking with one voice, considering we're going to be co-hosting a huge tournament.
For starters.
Andrew, why are you laughing?
Parties on both sides are heavy in their own respects. The Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo is not your ordinary MP or your ordinary federation president. On the other side, the Honorable Peter Ogwang is not your ordinary Minister of Sports. You can judge by how much has happened in his ministry in the short time. We had Honorable Bakawulindi for a very long time, and things were not moving as quickly as they were moving. And on top of that, there are powers that be above them.
Maybe Bakawulindi had the senior ministers, the late Namirembe Betamazire. Ogwang has the first lady.
Yeah, Bakawulindi
Exactly.
later had retired General Jessica Lupo.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's where I was heading. I was going to say that there are powers that be that are above these people. So if the order is for you to sit and harmonize, you will sit and harmonize. Because if you don't do it, then it goes directly to State House.
Okay.
And then...
And that's why it is.
And that's where it is. And like I said, from the start, I think that was the intention. It's the only way, it was the only opportunity that this need for football money was going to come out and grab the attention. Otherwise, you'd have taken that document to NCS and they would have thrown it out or sat on it.
When you say thrown it out or sat on it, where does that come from? Is it a case of, you know, they know there is not enough money? Is it a case of, you know, they're worried about asking for these sums of money, or they have reservations, or they fear to ask for these sums of money? Is it a case of maybe they don't understand or appreciate football as much as the FUFA president would? When you say they would throw it out, why? Why?
No,
Because I thought it should be as easy as make your case, you expect NCS to understand if you've made it thoroughly.
So entities like NCS and other government bodies will usually, when they are planning, when they're budgeting, and even by law, they have objectives. They have guidelines that govern the things that they are going to do. In the year when we host AFCON, you're not going to convince NCS to give you money to start a national academy. You're not going to convince them to give you money for VAR. In the year when we have AFCON, the priority is AFCON, and I think the 1.5 trillion is it that they're asking for.
For the short term,
yes,
just to fix the AFCON issue, is the figure to naturalize players.
Yes. So I think that was the only one that dealt directly with what's going to happen at AFCON. But even then, much as it looks like an AFCON issue, for NCS it's not really an AFCON issue, because they will hope that FUFA has prepared this team and that the team has been set up, and they'll deal with infrastructure, they'll deal with all
but also, Harold, when you try to look at the document and summarize it, it becomes an AFCON issue. The 2027 AFCON and the upcoming AFCONs, because FUFA is asking whatever they're asking for. Of course, the short term to naturalize players and stuff like that. But when you look at whatever they're asking for whatever they're asking on the basis of having a national team that is competitive at the level of Morocco, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, and the likes of that. So their argument is, for us to be at that level, we need to do these things. For us to be able
Is that for 2027?
No, even moving forward. For us to be able to do these things, this is the kind of money we need, and we try to break it down. So the document, when you summarize the document, the end point is having a national team that is competitive at the level of the Africa Cup of Nations and beyond.
And now, when you look at it and when it's read to you that way, you actually believe it.
No, the spirit is good.
When you get inside and see where the monies are going, some of the items, then you doubt it, especially knowing the record and history of the people who are asking for the money. So the spirit, yes, good. Perhaps they are reading from Morocco, government being fully involved. I don't know how they do it in Morocco, but clearly in Morocco it's the government through the federation
it is the government
that is in charge. Now here, literally, one, the budget being asked for is bigger than NCS, the entire NCS, isn't it? And then it's like they are carving out a ministry of its own sports, because that's just football. NCS deals with all sports. So perhaps they need a department that deals with football in this country. I don't know how much invested government is to say, okay, now we are stopping everything and we're heading into football. Because Morocco have the resources to do whatever they are doing, but also there's genuine goodwill from those in charge of the country.
Andrew, in that respect,
yeah.
I think there is a way that government can give you this money. Something related to the document we had, but a bit more definite. Now, we have to have a national football development plan.
Which is the master plan that...
Yes, not in that sense.
Okay.
In the sense that almost all of the things you see running in this government, behind them there is a paper.
Yep.
Almost everything that you see government funding, there is a paper that has been approved at ministry level, at parliament, maybe cabinet even. Now, if we have such a plan, for example, we're asking for 8 billion for VAR. The government will not fund VAR. They will not buy VAR. They will not do it. Because how do you stand on the floor of parliament and say, we're not buying a cancer machine, we're not buying this, we're buying VAR? How do you defend that?
And the president will ask you, what is that?
Yeah,
what does it do?
Exactly, before the whole country.
Yeah.
And yet you need it. Now, and this also it feeds into all the other things. You're asking for money to broadcast football through FUFA TV. There is a UBC.
A national broadcaster.
A national broadcaster. It would be easier if you say, you know what, I think Morris still the ED?
Yes, Morris.
You know what, Morris, let's start UBC Sport. That will be broadcasting all of the games that are played in this country. From Morocco, from wherever there always, and surprisingly you'll see UBC almost in every corner of the country. Let's start a UBC Sport. And that UBC Sport must do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Now, when you go to Parliament and ask for money for UBC Sport, the Minister of ICT and Communications and all, they'll give you the money. Because it fits well within the Public Finance Management Act. Yeah. It fits well within the Constitution. Yeah. It fits well within the way government works.
Public broadcaster.
Yes, a public broadcaster that has a record of covering the whole country. If you say you want money to finance clubs, which clubs are private entities, there is a very good proposal to recharacterize the already existing government entities, the ones that have football clubs. But how then do you get government to give money to Bright Stars, to Express, and it's okay? And you're not...
Harold, what's good about that proposal as you drive your point home?
Well, what's good about the proposal is, the point I'm trying to drive home is, if you get that money and say, you know what, we are going to give money for infrastructure development, but this is the criteria. Like you see it in Rwanda.
You're giving the money to who?
You're giving the money to, through a government program that, for example, if Kacheka, and I don't know the ownership of Kacheka, if Kacheka is owned by the government, Mbarara District Local Government, you give Mbarara District Local Government to put up an infrastructure that Mbarara City FC can use.
Actually, the law change, I think now all sports facilities, even those that were under the local government,
under
are
the
now
National
under
Sports
National Council
Act.
Sports.
But look here, Clive, in Rwanda, their sports has been, the sports industry, and let me even just keep it, football industry, has been, it's driven by 3 principles. From the consolidated fund, the money that the government collects. 1, nation branding and tourism. That's why you see Visit Rwanda all over the place. That's why you see the BK Arena. The BK Arena is not built by the biggest basketball club that side, no. You see the BK Arena, you see the Amahoro Stadium, all of those are financed under, we need to bring the biggest events in this country here. Most of the FIFA and all other conferences that happen in this region go to Rwanda. Why? There's a budget for that. And if the money is coming, the parliament has approved and all other government agencies have approved that. The second one is employment and empowerment of the youth. We have 16 professional clubs in the Premier League. We have 16 in the big league. We have the Elite League for women. We have the league below the Elite. all those people, almost every club has at least, directly or indirectly, 100 people in and around them. You make a good proposal and say, we are employing these people. And government will fund you. The fourth one is international representation, which is the national teams. There was a proposal here to pay all footballers on the national team, I think 1 million per month, some time back. But also things like flights.
But you remember how we mismanaged it?
Yeah, but it would have been better, Clive, if these people were, if you represent the national team, you become a civil servant and earn a salary. You're serving the nation and you earn a salary.
And I think that was the spirit behind.
More money can
Why
come in
government
through
approved
bonuses
it
and the
before
likes.
it was mismanaged.
Yeah, but you have to be, if you remember at the Chan State dinner, the president said, look, we haven't started helping sports, but we have people in prisons. For him, it makes sense that way, that this is our person, we pay him money. However much it may not be the most biggest amount of money, but he knows Kiprotich is a policeman, so and so is this, and they're earning money there. It's easier. That's how government thinks. These people are employees. So saying international representation was the third one. They have, I think in the last year, and I saw it on Peter Tabo's pitch side, they have launched a hotel for the national team, a sports complex, and things of the sort. These things are not done by FARAFA. They're done by the government through a proper sports program. The only way you're going to force government's hand is if you bring these things into their confines. A national broadcaster, yes. Money, get it. Go and do whatever you have to do. The representative teams representing Uganda on the continent. We have a small KPI called international representation. These people are flying our flag. Give them tickets. Air Uganda, take them. Things.
But that's still back to what you're saying. That is something that used to happen until they scrapped it off.
Yeah, but it was
now
FUFA
they are
money.
bringing it back.
It was FUFA money.
Was it FUFA money or it was under the 7 billion at the time?
I need to also understand, Clive, what do you mean it used to happen? Everyone who represented
Remember
Uganda,
there was a time, I think KCCFC, Proline and Vipers once or twice benefited from that.
It was FUFA money.
Yes. That was clubs representing the country.
On the continent.
Yes,
when you talk of representing the country, I don't know what exactly we mean.
What
Everyone
I'm
who
saying
represents Uganda.
What I'm saying is, when Vipers is on the continent, you'll say, yes, they are representing Vipers as themselves, but the flag is Uganda.
Okay,
the benefits are Ugandans.
We're talking teams, not individuals.
No teams.
No.
Okay.
So then, you make an easier case if these things are already in a budget framework paper that has been approved by NCS, that has been approved by government. If there is a team that is flying to Algeria or wherever, requisition the money, NCS or Uganda Airlines give tickets and take the team. But these things have to be government programs.
Part of the document, there's the different ways to fund what the framework is asking is to give money to clubs. The way it is in this one, it suggests that current government institutional clubs will cease to exist. The FUFA president tried to explain that's not what he means, but in essence it's what he means. Because he says, so if that gets into effect starting next season, as the paper suggests, from next season, we won't have KCCFC, we won't have Maroons, we won't have police. How does that fit with you? Is that the right way to go?
No, it's not. It's not expressly the right way to go. You cannot simply abolish a 60-year-old entity. But if we go to what he meant, judging by his explanation on one of the TV shows, I picked up he wants to recharacterize these clubs. That if you're a KCCA, and KCCA is the best example for this because they are the equivalent of a district team. They're the team for Kampala district. That if you're a KCCA, then for you, you have, let me say, 4 billion a year that the association has dedicated to the football team. Get a community to come in and own the team. Let the team be Kampala FC, not the association FC. Let the team be Kampala FC. And all the staff and everything.
Is that you explaining how it should be done, or actually what
I'm saying how it should be done. That's my thinking of how it would be done in a better way. This already our laws allow for public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
I mean, Bright Stars can work with URA, and all the objectives that URAFC is serving in its current setup can be served through another entity. You're looking for corporate social responsibility, you want to advertise, brand awareness, and all of those. But have the community, UPDFFC, Bombo FC, and the people in Bombo would get some identity and love the club. The most important thing, the thing he's trying to cure, is that these entities have monies, budgets that have been dedicated to those teams. If you get in a community and the community owns 49%, you make a call, a public call, and say whoever is interested in buying into KCC, come and register. You will pay, say, 100,000 per year. This model is very common in Germany.
Before we go to Germany, sticking by Ugandan laws, how favorable is the law when it comes to allowing the public to buy shares into government parastatals?
So I was talking about the Private Public Partnerships Act, an act that allows you, Clive, to, for example, open a hotel. Say it's an AFCON hotel. I have land and I need money for infrastructure. Government will own 30% in this entity, and it would happen. The latest one I have had on the floor of Parliament recently is Rocco. Government has bought shares in Rocco. Now, the law allows for government to work with private individuals, private parties or private individuals. So
it would be okay for KCCFC, URA, police, UPDF, or whoever, to open their doors to allow the public, especially their supporters, to buy shares in these clubs.
Yes. So if you come out and say, KCC, Clive, I know you're a KCC fan. Tomorrow they announce and say, we want 100,000 per year for membership. I know, clubs like Atletico Bilbao is the best example I can give. They're based in that area. They source all their players from that area and fund the people from that area, the natives of that Bilbao area, own the team. And all they say is give us 50 euros per year as your membership fee. Now, if you don't pay your membership fee, maybe 2-3 years in a row, they can kick you out and things of the sort. But what that means is the Musubuzi in Chikubo will look at KCC as Timu Yange.
Yes.
If I do this, this and that, that can be my team. It will bring funds. All the brand awareness that you're trying to get, you will get it through that. I have an issue with the timelines. This has to be maybe a 5 to 10 years plan. You cannot wake up and say all the 8 teams that are in the league beginning next year do A, B, C, D. No. Start with a few, 2, 3, see how it works, push it. You can even take it to Water FC. I think there's a Water, there's a Uganda Wildlife Authority in the lower leagues. Start it there, see how.
And you don't have to abolish the team, just
no, the team stays, the personnel stays, the stadia stays, everything stays.
So are you perturbed that, as simple as you've explained it, it can't come out that way from FUFA?
No, I'm not perturbed.
Why?
I'm not perturbed. One, I don't know if it was here, but I've mentioned this before, that we're not doing sport the right way if you allow government entities that don't have sporting objectives to participate in the National League. And this is something I picked up so quickly from the KCCA people when I was coming into the sport. the business, the administration, and the football. But I mean, KCCA, the authority in its nature as an authority that runs Kampala or URA or UPDF, does not have any of those in its constitution or even just bare normal objectives every day. It's not that we must have the best football club in Africa or things of the sort. No, it's not. That's one. Two, when you have a league where maybe 4 or 5 clubs at the end of the year go and pick maybe 1 billion shillings and come and compete against clubs that have 100 million shillings, and they do not have to fight to
fight for
to make that money. That money will be there the following year and the other year and the other year.
Actually, lately, they don't even compete because they're like, all we need to do is to survive.
Exactly.
We have a budget to keep us running. They're not fighting for anything.
That weakens the league. A URA will beat up on our Kiso Giants, on the Bright Stars badly every other day. Will pick all their talent and take it out.
Another, they're not beating them. They surely should answer.
They should.
Before the courts.
They should. But you ask yourself, how has the competitiveness died out?
Yeah.
Because there's a group that does not play for survival. There's a group that plays for survival. There's another group that does not play for survival. You cannot compete like that. That's why you see the Muzungu has come out with financial fair play, with this, to make sure that the competition is regulated and strong and authentic.
Yeah, but then, Harold, somebody again will argue that those that are well-funded are doing things, or they are still at the same level with those that are barely funded. So where's the difference? So there's no guarantee that if you abolish these teams today and you force them to invest in community clubs and stuff like that, it will be possible for you to meet your objectives of growing the sport and eventually have a strong national team. There's no guarantee. Correct. Especially because we've had several clubs under the disguise of community clubs, under the watchful eye of Moses Magogo and his people at FUFA, that have miserably failed. Busoga United, Toro United, Ondu Paraka, Arua Hill, and the others. I'll give you an example. Mr. Magogo's rise through the ranks of football administration were attached to a football club called Mutunde Lions. Mutunde Lions, in its own sense, would be a community club. I mean, it's a team from Motunde. People would easily identify with it.
Let me correct you a bit. When we say community club, do not, and we don't have community clubs in Uganda.
Yes, we don't.
We don't.
But then the federation wants them to be around.
I think at this rate we need to define a community club in its rightful sense.
You see, people will say Onduparaka, Chitara. You don't become a community club
by having the name of the community.
In a community, no. Because I mean, Mbarara City is owned by the Honorable Mr. Mpaka solely. So how can you then say it's a community club? Onduparaka, you know, the ownership. The community club is what I was saying earlier, that you wake up and say, guys, people of Mbarara, people of Arua,
open your doors to the community.
Yes, please, come and register. Come and register. Buy a stake in this club. The 10,000 of us that register, we each own a piece of that club. Now, if Clive Chaze registers, Clive and his whole lineage become funds.
Even when you're gone,
Mwangusha with his Fort Portal FC, the whole family registers. In that, in some countries even, Clive, if your children, if me, a man who has come from Bushenyi, wants to join Fort Portal FC, they'll say, go and ask Mwangusha to recommend you. He must try.
Actually, I think it's the model Al Ahly are adopting, and of course for them it has been around for years. You become a member of Al Ahly, the people, your wife, your children, and all the likes, they get benefits by you being a member. So that seed is planted through the generations to come, and that is how they have been able to build their community today.
We've seen SC Villa attempt it. I don't know how fight has gone. I see them calling for people to go and pay, but yeah. But that's what it is, that the community owns the club. Not that the club is, yes, the club is located in the community, but the situation of the club alone.
And exactly the question is, because time and again, the federation or the FUFA president has talked about every time he gets an opportunity to be on TV or to be on radio. But then they have not been deliberate by going out there and probably sensitizing the people who are running these entities how they should be able to turn these entities into community clubs. They just talk about it and that's it.
Yeah, they attempted it in Busoga. It didn't end well. But, and now when you combine that with the authorities and the other entities that we have, the NECs and the rest, I want to say that some of the best run clubs, they might not be run to the highest level if you compare with their continental counterparts, but some of the best run clubs are those clubs that are in institutions. So if you combine that with the big fan base that comes with you being situated in a community. But the most important bit there is that there's accountability on both sides. The government side, there is a PS somewhere. Well, it's like at URA, there's a PS at finance who will lose his job if that money is mismanaged in that PPP. On this other side, there is 10,000 fans who are saying, you carry our name, you must do A, B, C, D. We must perform because of 1, 2, 3 reasons. That fan pressure. There is a famous Bayer Leverkusen. The Bayer is one of the biggest medical and pharmaceuticals manufacturers in the world. But the law in Germany is that you can only own 51% of a club as a private individual. The rest is with the funds. Now you'll see German clubs go up and come back, go up and come back. The Dortmunds, all of those. That 51% will always be there. The stadium will always be full because that community is sure that that is their club. There is an easier chance of the entity going away and the community remains with the team than the other way around.
Sorry, Harold, it also comes down to the culture of the country and sports, because all the examples we are giving, the culture is deep-rooted from way back to the point that here when you hear a politician talk about sports, chances are limited that they are real fans. Chances are they are posturing.
Campaigns are around the corner.
So the culture is not there, and it starts from home. When your child is playing sports, are you with them all the way? Are you committed to it? Is the whole family coming to support?
I'd say it starts from up, not at home.
Yes. So at home as well, but up as well. Now the whole thing, you've broken it down very well, the community club. How it's understood out, it's out there, it's, if you're in a village, then suddenly you're a community club. Bunamwaya, remember, before it became Vipers, you are thinking it is.
Do you know why it
Bunamwaya.
became Vipers?
I don't know.
It became Vipers because the owner or the founder at the time was tired of the community insisting that it was their team.
Yeah, but
that's why he even took it away from its village, took it to Buyikwe, changed its name, then brought it back to Chitenda as Vipers.
Yeah, but fair enough because he can handle it. So you pick what you can chew on. So for me, the point comes down to explanation of these things to the people, but also the leadership, because a community club still needs able leaders. When we had Agra Shaba here, he tried to explain the whole, you know, evil of our sports. The people in charge, their credentials, their integrity, all is reflected in how things are happening. So when you have several 100 Harolds and they're in the community and running the club, you set the systems, then the community feeds in, because nothing happens without leadership.
You see, by and large, when the government sets the policy, and I'll not even go so far, I'll go down to Rwanda. I think maybe 10 years ago, Rwanda was 20 to 30 years behind us in terms of sports development and things. But now we're almost at par. Rwandan clubs signed from one national team. I don't think there is a club in Uganda that has players who play for another foreign players who play for another national team. But Rwandans come here and pick from a national team. They go pick from teams in West Africa. Aziz Ki was at Yanga from the, I think, Mali national team. But they have policy, like I explained before. There is policy. There is minimum standards of a person who can lead a football club. All of those things are there. Now, most people will say a very big part of government doesn't work and blah, 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 blah. But those structures are there. We just have to fill them with able-bodied people, technical people, and things will run.
And what I wanted to ask before we move on from that, Harold, is that now you explain, and the reality of it is that we don't have a community club.
Yes.
Right? And now you're asking these institutional clubs to invest their budgets into a community club. We don't have a single community club. How do we maneuver that in that period of time that is this short? Starting off with, how do we even get community clubs? Exactly. Get them up and running to be trusted with these huge budgets that the institutional clubs do have.
Because it looks like we are jumping a process and we think that things will just happen automatically.
No, for me, and I was saying here that it should be a 5 to 10 year plan. A 5 to 10 year plan where you have a Chitara, let me say, that's from Hoima, and a URA working on that. You're saying entrusting all of these budgets with a community club. No. Get able-bodied people who you can call to parliament, by the way, to defend how that money was spent. One of the biggest tenets of public financing is that government will not give you money if you cannot account for it. That's why you see, even when we had the NCS issues, government went to the General Secretary, said, we gave you money, tell us where it went. And the General Secretary had to go and pick the different presidents and black. Government will not give you money if you cannot account. So you will have a Chitara and a URA, and whoever is in charge of that money will make sure that the accountability is right. But also when Mr. Agri Ashava was here, he was talking about CEOs and their lack of capacity to play their roles or to do their jobs. You would expect that if someone is going to be entrusted with 4 billion, there is a criteria for how they are sourced. Is there an advert in the newspaper? Do these people know that, yes, we'll say we have nepotism and this and that, but there are parameters through which someone has to get a job somewhere. And that is the norm. The nepotism and the rest are the rare occurrences. So a CEO cannot be, for example, an S6 leaver. The same way the ED of KCCA cannot be an S6 leaver. We need to put them at that level. We need to put them at that level and say it's not enough that you have Famako and an S4 certificate somewhere. No. You must have certain qualifications for you to be to do this job in this club. Because you take an example like cases, and I say cases here because most of their things are out there in the public. We go to Lugogo and see there is a CEO, there is a national team level physiotherapist, there is an accountant who is qualified, there is a media officer who has the books to be there, and there's no one who's saying chase these people away. No. Let everybody have the kinds of people that you see at KCCA. Whether you're on Duparaka, whether you have those people in place.
And the issue perhaps FUFA want to address is the finances, because some of those are not hired at other clubs because they can't pay them.
Yeah, they can't pay them. But what maybe didn't come out well is that government will fund you once you make it its business. They'll give you the money. I'll tell you, you've been running a national airliner. that has spent trillions and is making losses, and now we are fighting to revive it. So the money is there, they'll give it to you. But it must fit within the confines of the Public Finance Management Act. That what we are funding is a national objective, it's something that's going to prevent unemployment, it's going to create jobs, it's going to improve the image of Uganda, that we are giving KCCA money, but they have Visit Kampala on their shirts, and everybody will see that. And
yeah, but Harold, and you'll expound, because what you're saying is the direction we should be taking, but we can't take that direction if one person is sitting on top of a hill thinking for all these people below him and saying, I'm the Moses taking you to the promised land, just follow me, without asking any questions or without explaining how we're actually going to get to the promised land. Just get up, carry your stuff, follow me, we're going.
And that's the problem. I have seen that in our neighboring Rwanda, it's not about the president of FUFA. It's not even about FUFA. It's about the policies that have been put in place. So for me, instead of presenting this paper and saying, give us money, you're better off sitting, and we now have the avenues. We've seen the things that the engineer Honorable Magogo has been able to conjure together, the AFCONs and the likes, and he's gotten government to build 3 stadia and things of the sort. If we redirect our energies a bit and sit down and say, let's get experts to develop a master plan for Ugandan sport for the next so many years, for generations.
You're an administrator of a football club. Do you have a copy of the current master plan that the Federation keeps on talking about?
I've never seen it.
So how are you supposed to align with what the Federation needs to do to develop football in this country?
Easy. And the funny thing is, most of the achievements of the Federation are gotten through the blood and sweat of clubs. I'll tell you, a club like Bright Stars, funded by individuals, but you'll come and you're promoted to the Premier League, and because CAF has said that in the next few years, every country should have maybe a women's team, every club in a women's team, a junior team, 3 levels and stuff. And FUFA will come and say, you must do this. And you have to do it. So you'll fork out 300, 200 million to do that. The benefits are, we get a national team that represents the country.
Because players are picked from all those teams.
The country has not invested. So the thing I'm talking about is sit and say, look, we need a must. Do we need football clubs? For starters, yes. What do? They employ the youth. They improve the image of Uganda in terms of branding and all of that. You've seen that because Rwandan clubs are not as big on the continent, they don't wear the Visit Rwanda. Even when APR plays on the continent, they don't. But they pay $10 million to Arsenal every year to advertise. If they had an Al-Ahly big brand
in Rwanda,
then Visit Rwanda becomes a little bit easier. But I mean, for us, Uganda, what I can do is I can send it to the athletes, and Emanzi and Andrew here cover that every so often.
Emanzi covers, I'm an athlete.
So every time Cheptegei, or whichever, from the Dorcas Nzikuru days, or even from the Davis Kamoga days, every time we step on that crease, it's the Uganda flag. It's the Uganda flag.
Harold, the one beautiful thing I'm seeing on the panel today with our guest is we are seeing more light, because this should be a national discussion.
Yes.
Not a football discussion.
It shouldn't be a football discussion. Yes.
Because if I'm basketball, if I'm rugby, if I'm volleyball, and I'm seeing all this, I'm like, wait a minute. So if they were tomorrow to decide to say, okay, Moses and FUFA, here you go, we've given you this. What happens to the rest of the sports? What's the way forward for it? I'm not saying football doesn't need the money. We're just saying we need to redirect, to refocus as a nation. The good thing is the discussion has started. That's the positive bit. but it must include the entire spectrum, the entire direction of sport in the country. Otherwise, same way it happened with the national budget, 17 billion for FUFA, and the other guys are wondering what's happening.
I saw the rugby president Godwin Kayangwe saying that not everybody has as much power as the FUFA president. But what I was talking about, it's not just a football development plan. This can be scaled. So what government needs to do is to put this thing in place. And what the entities, the associations and clubs have to do is to make sure you fit the criteria.
So if FUFA are not part of helping government put this in place, who in government are you looking at and you're like, these guys can't pull it off?
I tell you, you go to I was at Wankulukuku one time for an SC Villa Saltillo Bright Stars match. And I was seated next to a white man in his maybe 60s. I forget the name, but he gave me his card. And he's a consultant at the Ministry of Education.
Gunter.
Yes, Gunter. He's the consultant, but tell me, what does he do?
He's been here like for 2 decades now.
Is there a paper from Gunter to the Honorable Janet Kataha saying this is what we should do for Ugandan football? Yes, FUFA has the technical ability and they get all this information from CAF, from FIFA, and they know so much about how to grow the game. But the thing about information and knowledge is it's not exclusive. It's not exclusive. You can get it from anywhere.
For me, the other issue probably I found unrealistic in the document was FUFA has a plan in the 4 financial years they're talking about, starting with the financial year that is coming up, because the money they were asking for was to do things in those 4 financial years. They have a plan of building over 80,000 football facilities across the country. From 80,000, yes. Okay. From the 4 international stadiums that they want, then the national stadium. Like they want to build stadiums from the village you come from the lowest level where you come from, to the international level. And the budget around that is about $150 million US. And this came to light at a time when National Council of Sports had also revealed in a press conference that they have plans to actually build, not the FUFA kind of facilities, but they have plans to build different sports facilities around the region. In the north, in the east, in the west, and stuff like that. But your private entity asking government to give you over $150 million US to build over 80,000 football facilities in the country. For an entity that has struggled, I don't know when the groundbreaking for Kadiba was, and it's about 4 or 5 years later, you're still struggling to deliver just that one facility, and you're telling us that you can be able to deliver over 80,000 football facilities across the country in 4 years.
With money.
Clive, I don't see it happening. It's very good on paper. But like I said, the easier thing, government has unlimited resources. Like even if they ran out of money today, they can announce and say, we are borrowing from the public, or we are going to borrow from Stanbic, and they'll have the money. Government has the money. The land is there. It's owned by the local authorities. Just get those people to develop.
And it's part of the manifesto, manifesto, building stadiums in those local areas. And so
whose responsibility is it?
You see, I want us to, from where we are now, we treat sport and football and all other things, netball and the other things, as recreational by the ways. We need to look at it the same way we look at the Ministry of Health. Do you hear government saying, Clive, you build a hospital? No. Government will put up the hospital. There's a hospital in every sub-county or every, it sits there. And every year in Parliament, they sit and say, we must fund this hospital. The goal of all sports federation should be to get sports to that level.
Government doesn't stop you from building your own stadium.
No, you can build your own stadium.
But there's a policy that they'll have a stadium and in every village. Same for the Ministry of Health.
And it will in turn prevent you from building your own stadium. If you're starting a team in Mbarara, the other day through our outreaches with Saltillo Bright Stars, we went to Kamwenge district, Ramanja refugee settlement, where Mbarara City plays their games now. That's one of the best stadiums in the country. Yeah. It's like a tiny little thing. It's not Nambole or anything, but it's grass, it's leveled, there are pavilions, there are dressing rooms, it's beautiful. Yeah. So that is something that I think it will cost you maybe 10 billion. That's something that government can do in every district. It's something that FUFA cannot do. They get 17 billion from government. Their budget is 40 billion. They cannot take off 10 billion and construct a small stadium in Arua. They can't. And government is not going to give you, who has identified yourself as a private entity, public money to go and do something. All you have to do is to force government to do these things. And we have the unique advantage of having the First Lady as the Minister of Sports. If we do not get these things right now,
I feel you.
We will never get there.
I feel you. Okay. Talking of a private company.
Andrew, I hope that's going to be your final question. Our time is fast spent.
Private company to build stadium on behalf of government. And then also you have your own private radio station, which you want the government to fund as well. So that's why I said, well, you say the football wants the money. You've got to wonder.
Needs the money.
When you've got to wonder, when you touch deeper into the story and who is getting what, who wants to do what. That's where the issue comes in. Even as the discussion happens, those need to be critiqued very well to ensure that actually what you want is what the country needs.
I think some of the money will come. Clive already told us that the discussion is in State House.
I'm sure some of the money has been approved.
Yes, so some of the money will come. Okay. So in one way or another, the Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo's plan has worked. Now we go into implementation. And that money will not have the desired effect if we do not change the regulatory and the legal framework and the structural things around us. I'll tell you, if right now you give a football club like Express 500 million, they will not have it by March. Because football clubs are that expensive to run. And you cannot give them 500 million every year. But if you take away some of their overheads, then you've done them a very big favor. They'll now be looking for money for tiny little things. And the overheads are things like stadia. The overheads are things like, there's something about the National Academy and Schools of Excellence and things. These are things where you just have to enable the existing entities. Yes, football clubs all over the world have academies and stuff, but our system here is school-based. All the footballers we get are from the school system. So maybe you get government to say we need a CAF-C coach
at every school.
At every school that participates in the USSA games. And this coach, we will pay maybe 300,000 shillings, the school can top up. There you are shaping the football curriculum and conversation and all of that, rather than strangling a Calvary or a Bright Stars for that matter, or a Buhimba Saints, with the requirement to run a football club and then also run an academy at that level.
Okay. Clive. No. Sharon is in my ear. So I'm going to ask Harold to speak to one of the other figures contained in that document. I did see him shedding some good light on pitch side. The 1.5 billion contained in that document for the naturalization of players of Ugandan descent. Speak to that figure as we close this discussion.
1.5 billion is maybe $400,000. And I think a player like Divine Mukasa, who would all want to play for Uganda, the gentleman at Manchester City, would maybe he earns around $30,000 per week. After taxes, maybe 15, so 60,000 a month take home. If you want Divine to play for Uganda and not England, he will not take anything less than 100,000 as a sign-on fee. The money is for sign-on fees. It's not for anything else. It's not for issuance of passports or anything.
To say, please allow.
Yes, it's a business transaction.
Yeah.
It's a business transaction.
It's not anything to do with patriotism.
No, you see, if you sat down with a Ugandan living abroad who loves Uganda, they'll not, out of the 10 things they'll tell you, none of them will speak to patriotism. But even if it did, football is a business.
I was speaking to some colleagues from cricket today while we were watching the T20 World Cup going on at the moment, and we're like, and somebody was telling me that even if you wanted an Indian at tier 2 or tier 3, the minimum they will ask for is at least $15,000 US dollars, and not to change citizenship. That is what you pay them every tournament. You are inviting them to play for you as a Ugandan. So sometimes success comes at a cost.
Yes.
There were rumors in the press, and Justin, I think you broke the story about Elio
Caprodosi.
Yeah. Some people are saying it's about money. It might not have been about money. I'm not saying it was about money. But we'll paint that picture that no one is going to play football for free. So if we're going to naturalize people, I think that's very little money. That they under-budgeted. They under-budgeted.
You know, they're looking at AFCON. That is in the short-term plan.
I mean, there's the Bashir Humphreys at Burnley. If Bashir is at 50K a week.
McQueen Kavuma.
McQueen at Chelsea. How much money are we going to give these guys? But before we leave that, Clive spoke about John Paul Dembe. John Paul is one of my biggest regrets.
Okay.
At Bright Stars.
You let him go?
We had John Paul Dembe train with us through coach Frank Mulindwa. Been with Frank, he's done tremendous work for us. John Paul came over, trained with us. Last week of pre-season, we're all convinced this boy has to sign for us. And the head coach at that time, names withheld, says, look, I want that other 35 or 30-something-year-old striker. That's my guy. We're going into the league. I have Nelson Senkatuka. I want to complement Nelson with a gangly forward who will knock down defense.
With an Uche.
So this guy has been in this club and he's not done blah, 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 blah. But then John Paul goes back to school. I think he was switching from Chitovu to Budo SS. And then he goes for that COVID Masaza. Where he did well, and then the next thing you see is that Kambiaso, I think, in Tanzania with KCCA, and he's out of the country. But what point did I want to make about John Paul? Whatever resources you have, dedicate them to John Paul instead of Uche. John Paul is playing at a higher level than Uche. I know he's been within the Crane structures. I don't know what happened. But we might be better placed if we seek out the John Pauls. And then we supplement those with
the 20-year-olds, the 21-year-olds.
Yeah, you start with those. And then you say you can go to Divine Mukasa with a 200,000. Boss, come and play. And you just have to drop in 3 or 4. Because I mean, so we gave, and with all due respect to the guys who we've brought in, we gave them a chance at AFCON. The chance that would have served John Paul better, that would have served Joel at KCCA, that would have served
Enoch Sewagala.
Abdukarim, Enoch Sewagala. If we are planning for 2027, we have our shores, we are chasing the other guys. In conclusion on that, I think that money is very little. I don't know how many players they are targeting, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. that budget should have been bigger. If we are going to do that, it should be a bigger budget.
Okay. Thank you very much, Harold. Thank you so very much. This discussion, we definitely would have wanted to push it a bit longer because it goes on and on. Every time he speaks, there is another question you want to ask. I can see it from Andrew's face and Clive's face, but listen, our time is fast spent. Unfortunately, we have to take a very short break. When we do return, we'll switch it up. First of all, I'll be taking the feedback from the poll question that we did put out. The hashtag is NTV Sport Nice, and then we'll switch it up and speak about everything else that is happening in the world of sport. Harold, one more time, thank you so very much.